Congresswoman Jinky Luistro, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yun pong sagot ng CICC to be specific is quite alarming because it might encourage people to keep on sharing because it has no accountability. So I hope later we can cite the legal basis which support the statement that sharing a fake news or a malinformation does not carry with it a liability with respect to the sharer. That is very alarming, sir. To continue, Mr. Chair, I think everybody agrees that we all recognize the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom of expression as one of the primordial constitutional guarantees. However, kagaya po ng sinabi ng ating esteemed colleagues, ang lahat ng batas, ang lahat ng karapatan ay hindi absolute. It has to be subjected to restriction. And as I was listening to our hearing today, since this morning, I can already conceive the magnitude of the danger, the problem that we are facing right now. As a matter of fact, Mr. Chair, talking about internet, talking about cyberspace, unlike ordinary crimes, Tito, it is difficult to define territoriality because cyberspace, internet is boundless. And that is the challenge, the biggest challenge that we are facing right now. As a matter of fact, I wish to share one perfect illustration. Nakakatawa po kasi dumaan din sa news feed ko in one of the social platforms. Through AI, biglang nag-kiss ang former president at ang former senator, Laila de Lima. And I hope some of you were able to view that also. Pag-uwi ko po ng Batangas, ang sabi nung magtataho, who's living in a very remote area, bati na pala si Duterte at si De Lima. So, that's how they influence people in the grassroots. And the question is, how do we correct the effect of wrong information? What if this wrong or fake information pertains to matters of national security? Ayaw nating mag-engage ng war, but because of fake news, somebody triggered and initiated some of us to engage in an activity which we have been and avoiding. Mr. Chair, amid all the challenges that everybody is presenting in today's hearing, I think everybody will agree that time is of the essence. Napapanahon na po for all of us to address the proliferation of fake news. It affects not only our personal interest, it could also affect national interest and even world's interest. With that, Mr. Chair, I have questions for DICT, and I wish I could get a very clear answer. Tayo po ba ay may jurisdiction sa social media platforms? By social media platforms, we are talking about Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. At least, ito po yung prominently used by Filipinos. May jurisdiction po ba ang Philippine courts over social media platform?
Sir, let me qualify my answer since this was directed to the ICT. With regard to regulation, we do not regulate social media platforms. We do not have any mandatory powers over them nor oversight powers over them. With regard to courts, Your Honor or Mr. Chair, I think that is better answered by the lawyers, the DOJ here.
Linawin po natin, sir, yung inyong naging response. When it comes to regulatory power of the ICT, walang jurisdiction ang DICT over social media platforms. And your basis is the charter of the ICT. Do you confirm this?
Sir, yes, Your Honor.
Now we go to NBI perhaps, or the DOJ if we have resource persons from DOJ. May jurisdiction po ba ang Philippine courts over the social media platforms?
Well, good afternoon, Your Honor. Philippine courts doesn't have any jurisdiction over social media platforms for the reason that these social media platforms operates under different jurisdiction. And we have the principle
By
of
different jurisdiction, ano pong ibig sabihin natin? Do you mean outside the Philippine territory?
Yes, Your Honor. The servers of these platforms are outside the Philippine territory, Your Honor.
Nonetheless, how do they operate within the country in as far as using the cyberspace is concerned?
Well, the operation is through the internet, so internet is accessible to everyone.
And we have no way to regulate that.
I think the regulation should be better addressed by the DICT, who has jurisdiction over matters of telecommunications.
As to regulation, the DICT, I believe, has answered already. Wala sa mandato nila ang regulation ng social media platforms. But I hope you realize, parang continuing yung crime eh. While it is being committed outside, the perpetration is happening even inside the Philippine territory. Yes, you really have to rely on your mandate on existing laws, pero meron po tayong principle sa batas, yung tinatawag nating continuing crime. And I would like to raise this legal question, whether posting malinformation, disinformation, fake news, notwithstanding the fact that the social platform is outside the Philippine territory, but the post can be seen inside our country, can this be not considered as a continuing crime? DOJ, please.
Ma'am, Your Honor, on the part of the law enforcement, we adhere to the duality doctrine of duality of crimes. So under the duality of crimes, since most social media platforms are owned by other countries, we also need to consider whether the crimes that are punishable here in the Philippines are also punishable in other countries who own the social media platforms.
And can you explain that? How does it work, the duality of crime?
Jurisdictional, ma'am. That's jurisdictional, Your Honor.
All right, so how
if
do
it's
you
not
apply it in
punishable,
as far as our challenges here in the Philippines is concerned?
the country where the social media platform is located does not really react to our requests or does not really care about our request, because the law that is punishable here in the Philippines is not punishable under their jurisdiction. So basically, as a consequence, we cannot request information from those social media platforms as it is not congruent with our international law and law on data privacy, depending on the country where the social media platform
So what
is
you are
based.
saying, sir, if I may interrupt, what you are saying is, if cybercrime is punishable here, cybercrime is not punishable in the place where the social media platform is located. Is that what you mean?
It depends on the kind of cybercrime, Your Honor. So, for instance,
Please expound.
For instance, cyber libel is punishable here in the Philippines, but it is not punishable in the U.S.
And where are these social media platforms located?
The biggest social media platform, such as Meta, is located in the U.S.
But at least we can have something to start on.
Yes, Your Honor.
Identify which countries have similar law which punishes similar crimes in the Philippines.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tama ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
And with your statement, does it mean na Halimbawa, ang cybercrime is punishable in a foreign country, cyber libel, punishable in a foreign country, punishable in the Philippines as well, even when the social media platform is in the foreign country. Pwede ba natin din silang i-include dun sa case to be filed inside the country?
Yes, Your Honor, because there is already mutuality between the countries.
So in other words, we can acquire jurisdiction by way of duality of jurisdiction. Following your explanation, DOJ, kapag parehas ang batas ng Pilipinas at ng foreign country where the social media platform is located,
Yes.
we can acquire jurisdiction. Do you confirm that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, kindly state for the record, nasan po yung Facebook?
May I clarify, Your Honor?
Yes, DOJ.
Actually, I'm from the NBI, Your Honor. Actually, Your Honor, we do not acquire jurisdiction over the social media platform. We can only do requests. And the request we do is granted if the crime, which is the basis of the request, is also punishable in their jurisdiction.
Yes, that is the duality of jurisdiction.
Yes, Your Honor. But
What is your basis in saying that we cannot acquire jurisdiction over the social media platform, notwithstanding the fact that both countries have the same law punishing the same crime? Because I believe when we say duality of jurisdiction, it means that we can acquire jurisdiction as well.
Your Honor, good afternoon. I'm the OIC Director for the Office of Cybercrime, Your Honor, an attached agency of the Department of Justice. Your Honor, as to the issue on jurisdiction, actually there is a way where we can acquire jurisdiction if there is a cyber warrant issued to a particular platform, but the limitation of that cyber warrant pertains only to computer data or informations that are stored in the or being held by these platforms to be produced or provided to us in relation to a particular case already filed in court, Your Honor.
Hindi ba, sir, lahat naman ng napopost talaga ay incorporated in the data which are being kept by the social media platform? So I wish to believe na lahat ng lumalabas sa social media platform ay part and parcel ng data ng social media platform which is foreign-based. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor. I agree with your statement, Your Honor. But there are also some instances like dito po rin po papasok yung retention, Your Honor, where kunyari sa Pilipinas po sa atin, if we have a particular, if our law requires a particular number of months or years for that platform to retain all those informations, we can...
We are now qualifying our answer now. Ano? CICC, right? No? Let's go to the basic question. Kaya po ba nating mag-acquire ng jurisdiction over the social media platform? Please do not qualify your answer first. Tun muna po tayo sa general rule. Kaya po ba o hindi? Because you were mentioning already about the cyber warrant, cybercrime warrant.
Your Honor, that's a very difficult question. Kasi crimes are jurisdiction. The definition of whether an act is a crime or not is jurisdictional.
I understand.
So, without qualifying,
Pero kanina,
maybe we can write a position paper on this, Your
kanina
Honor.
you were discussing already about the duality of jurisdiction doctrine, and I humbly submit that with that doctrine, I think there's a possibility for us to acquire jurisdiction over social media platform.
Your Honor, may I also, in addition to what was stated by Yusek Jeffrey, there is also a matter, Your Honor, or a question if the social media platform actively participated in a perpetration of a crime. So, kung actively participatory po siya, there's...
If I may interrupt, sir.
Yeah.
Cybercrime law, to distinguish it from the crimes defined under the revised penal code, is considered as a special law. Do you agree? O, di ba? That's where the distinction lies between mala inse and mala prohibita. And when we speak about mala prohibita, what does it say? We do not care about malice. The only question is whether the crime is committed or otherwise. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor, we totally agree with that, Your Honor.
Yes, but you were discussing about knowledge, about participation in the perpetration of the cyber libel or cybercrime. Parang medyo contradictory po yun dun sa konteksto ng mala prohibita or malum prohibitum. I understand that the question is difficult, but at least we were able to discuss initially the duality of jurisdiction doctrine, which I hope you will be able to render a legal position paper. And in relation to that duality jurisdiction doctrine, I remember that my question started with the concept of continuing crime. Can you please shed light? Hindi po ba ito pwede i-consider na continuing crime?
As long as the malicious post is still active,
Yes.
Your Honor.
So you agree?
Yes, Your Honor, we agree. That
So
it's
if
still a
this can be
continuing crime.
considered as a continuing crime, the one who posts here is liable, and the server who makes possible the posting while it is based in foreign country can also be held liable. The question is difficult again. And of course, I appreciate that the Honorable Roman already requested to invite a constitutionalist to help us understand how we go about this. I just wish to submit that this cybercrime law was drafted, passed, and approved with the knowledge in mind that cyberspace is boundless, internet is boundless, and perpetrators are not confined only in the Philippine territory but even outside. So I wish to believe that the drafters of this law considered the possibility of indicting as well the perpetrators who are based in the foreign country. That is a manifestation, Mr. Chair. And to proceed, Mr. Chair, I wish to state for the record before I proceed that this representation is requesting the DOJ to render a legal position with respect to the two issues raised already, the duality of jurisdiction doctrine and the concept of continuing crime. And for my last question, sa atin pong pag-aaral ng batas, mayroon po tayong tinatawag na warrantless arrest. Konting review lang po. Ano po ba yung mga instances when arrest without warrant is allowed? TOJ?
Yes, Your Honor. In the rules of court, Your Honor, the instances that warrants a warrantless arrest, Your Honor, is if a particular crime is being committed and the police officer has actual knowledge of the perpetration of the crime, Your Honor, the law enforcement can actually conduct the arrest of the subject without the necessity of a warrant, Your Honor.
TOJ, you will agree with me, we call it the doctrine of flagrante delicto.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. If a person is caught while committing a crime, he can be arrested even by a private citizen without need of a warrant.
Yes, Your Honor. As a citizen arrest, Your Honor.
Okay. Mayroon pong fake information nakapost yung isang vlogger. Can it be considered as flagrante delicto? Yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. For as long as the fake news is still posted. The one who posted it is in flagrante delicto. So the question now to the law enforcement, can we effect an immediate arrest, considering that the one who posted is caught in flagrante delicto?
Yes, Your Honor, as long as the attribution could be established.
Mr. Chair, ang dami po ng vloggers na can be considered caught in flagrante delicto, and I find it strange. Walang inaaresto ang ating law enforcement agency. I do not subscribe to the opinion that our laws are insufficient. I wish to submit that the drafters of these laws considered already indicting even people outside the Philippine territory, considering that we're talking about cyberspace, considering that we're talking about internet, which horizon and territory is boundless. And going back to the doctrine of flagrante delicto, the biggest question is, ang dami pong vloggers without any concern at all about the possible consequences, about accountability, about liability, they just keep on posting fake news, proliferating fake news. And this is a clear illustration of caught in flagrante delicto, which warrants warrantless arrest. Bakit po walang ginagawa ang ating law enforcement agency?
Okay, who will reply? NBI.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So for that question, Mr. Chair, as already discussed a while ago, ang meron lang po tayo ngayon is cyber libel na batas, and Article 154 of the Revised Penal Code. If I may read, Mr. Chair. So doon po sa Article 154, meron po tayong unlawful use of means of publication and unlawful utterances. Number 1 po doon, any person who by means of printing, lithography, or any other means of publication shall publish or cause to be published as news any false news which may endanger the public or cause damage to the interest of the credit of the state. Yun lang po ang dalawang batas na pwede natin gamitin if we conduct or a law enforcement operation or file of case. But the problem is, this case is a personal crime. Kailangan po may private complainant po na magre-reklamo, and it will be the basis for the arrest.
Sir, I wish to go back to the concept of flagrante delicto. Doon po ba sa flagrante delicto, naghihintay ho ba ang police ng complainant? I don't think so. For as long as the person is committing a crime, even private citizen can arrest without need of a warrant. Mr. Chair, I believe that the questions is quite legally debatable already. So I would appreciate listening on the next hearing to our invited constitutionalist. I conclude, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Luistro. The next interpellator will be Congressman Paulo Ortega. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sayang lang po, Mr. Chair, no, wala dito yung mga social media platforms na siguro mas marami tayong may babatong tanong kasi napaka-importante po yung in terms of regulation. But I would just like to ask kung sino po yung concerned na agency na who can answer, yung pwede pong sumagot. Nasaan po tayo in terms of ano na pong nagawa natin dito sa fake news na to, saka syempre yung regular na fact-checking sa mga fake news nandiyan. Nasaan na po tayo? Ano na po nagawa natin I'm sure itong mga nakaraang ilang buwan napakadami pong fake news na lumalabas. Sabi ko nga po, kung meron pong monetization na nangyari dyan, dapat po siguro pati yung Quadcom may nakuhang monetization Kasi marami po tayong pinayaman na fake news sa peddlers saka mga vloggers. Marami po sa kanilang kumita dahil po sa ating exercise dito sa House of Representatives. So may I ask DICT kung where are we now dito po sa laban na ito?
Mr. Chair, so as I mentioned earlier, we have a cooperation or a collaboration with the social media platforms. So for very, very immediate cases, to give you a concrete example, in 2024, the voice of the president was used in a seemingly pinamukha nilang news na parang inuutosan ni Presidente ang Philippine Navy to retaliate sa West Philippine Sea. And even though there was no regulation over social media, report natin yan and tinanggal nila. I think may listahan kami, sir, ng mga posts tinanggal nung social media platforms yon. And there are multiple I'm sorry, I don't have the current statistics, but we have multiple cases of these types of things. But usually we look at the virality and if it concerns top officials of government, Your Honor. For the others, I think there were cases already filed for cyber libel, for example, both by the PNP and the NBI.
Mr. Chair, yun nga po, sir, siyempre ito mga government officials, mga high-ranking officials, pero we have to look at the other side. Siguro kailangan po natin ng datos tungkol dito. Paano po yung isang estudyante o kaya may mga kaso ng estudyante na dahil hindi na po malabanan itong ganitong klase ng fake news, yung suicide rates po, di ba, I'm sure alam ng DICT na maraming nangyayaring ganun, na yung mga nabully sa eskwelahan, yung mga may mga social problems po na umaabot sa ganun. So meron po ba tayong may datos po ba tayo na may hila? Hindi lang naman po sa government officials, no? Kasi hindi po nasusolve yung mga ganito na issues Parang palaki po siya ng palaki, kaya nga it's a worldwide phenomenon. Kaya nga very general po yung tanong ko ano pong ginagawa natin tungkol dito para labanan tong mga ganitong issues, sir?
Sir, Mr. Chair, if I may. There are multiple cases of online harms, but in the enumerated example, for example, for cyberbullying, there are already steps being taken by DepEd and also with DICT to check kung yung estudyante merong, what do you call that, may symptoms na they are being bullied, etc. It's also we've been supportive of the different bills being passed in Congress to explicitly define disinformation and misinformation. But Mr. Chair, I can submit some statistics and cases that not only the ICT but the National Cybersecurity Interagency Committee and the CICC have handled regarding these cases. Medyo I just don't have the exact figures, but there are cases handled by the CICC members and also by the National Cybersecurity Interagency Committee. Marami akong puro anecdotal po kasi example ko, sir. Halimbawa yung recruitment ng AFP personnel by a fake recruitment site na nahuli natin si Mr. Wang last year around October or November by joint agents of the Bureau of Immigration, by the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, etc., etc., which also forms part of this entire network of misinformation and disinformation, and also the multiple cases filed and yung mga scam hubs that was raided multiple by both PNP, NBI, and the CICC, as well as the PAOK, which are also infrastructures of disinformation using text blasters and using IMSI catchers, etc., etc. But we can submit statistics, Mr. Chair, regarding all of these cyber crimes, not just on the proliferation of disinformation and misinformation.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, tanong ko lang po, follow-up pa. Where do we rank in the world in terms of yung ganyan, yung proliferation of fake news? Siyempre, I'm sure may number po yan eh, may datos po yan. Isa na po ba tayo sa pinakamataas na lugar kung saan nabubuhay at naglalagi ang fake news?
So if you look at the several reports, we're not even in the top 20 or top 30. But let me just qualify my answer again, Your Honor. The infrastructure kasi for disinformation, if we talk about disinformation and malinformation, it's not only about political bloggers. It also includes scams. And if we talk about scams, we're not identified in the ASEAN as a scam hub. I think this is one thing that we're proud as a government, both the legislative and the judiciary and the executive branch, kasi we acted so quickly on the POGO issue. In the ASEAN, ang natatag po ng ASEAN member countries as cybercrime hub, which also includes the infrastructure of disinformation and malinformation, is Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar.
So sir, would you masasagot nyo, would you kindly answer if masasabi po natin na itong pagkalat po ng fake news is ginagamit nila as a weapon of influence and persuasion na nagagamit po sa politika right now?
Quiet, please. Go ahead, Congressman.
The answer, Your Honor, is yes. On whether is it massive or what the depth is, we can show examples. In the case of, for example, disinformation regarding the West Philippine Sea, that has been discussed in the intelligence corridors and the task force in West Philippine Sea, that is a well-known, that's already been established, Your Honor. With regard to for example, vaccines na lang, disinformation on vaccines, kami po sa DICT has been a target of disinformation na ang cell sites daw wag ipatayo at magkakakos ng cancer. And look at the reason, and now we are short of 66,000 towers just because subdivisions doesn't want towers to be built. And there are a lot of these types of disinformation, Your Honor. So while it is not massive, I agree. If left unchecked, this can have lasting impact on our economic and political prospects.
We have may last two questions na lang po, Mr. Chair. Curious talaga sa DICT. There is an AI race. Alam po natin yan, sir. May AI race po ngayon. Not only for information, but for the bigger picture. AI race ang negosyo ngayon. Isa sa pinaka-lucrative na negosyo sa buong mundo. I'm sure na we're getting there. At magkakaroon din po ng point na magiging active po tayo dyan sa karera na yan. But I'm more concerned with our national security. Kasi nasan po tayo pag nagkatuloy po itong, massive po yung AI race. Nasan po tayo, nasan pong kasiguraduhan natin sa ka-safety natin sa gitna ng AI race na to?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that question. Again, it is a complex one. In terms of technology po, the Department of Science and Technology, I know this for a fact, and the ICT has been developing our own AI for the use of our own purpose. The Department of Budget Management is also thinking about using AI for their own document management system. And we're talking about sovereign AI, for our, yung kumbaga hindi po siya poisoned ng ibang data sets, so we're using that. But ang resources po kasi sa pag-develop ng AI is so massive, and we lack both the economic resources and the facilities to be able to compete. So if there will be a significant progress in this endeavor, even though the DOST has started it, the private sector must come in and also invest
Boss.
on this particular
Boss.
technology.
To wrap up, Mr. Chair, no, I do agree with yung sentiments po ni Ma'am Malu kanina, yung sabi nga po nila, nung ginawa po kasi to, saka ni-release sa mundo itong World Wide Web, itong internet natin, sabi ko nga, tayo, nung ginawa tayo sa mundo, meron tayong ethics, meron tayong pinag-iikutan na may pinag-iikutan tayo na moral, saka may mga sinusunod tayo na kahit hindi po batas. Sabi ko nga, I agree na kailangan po ng ethics dito sa ating social media. Sabi ko nga kay Kong Jinky kanina, meron po isang, like ako, meron pong isang siguro troll po yun o fake na tao. Hindi naman po siguro niya sasabihin ng nakaharap ako yung sinabi niya sa akin sa Facebook Parang si Kong Jinky, hindi naman sasabihin sa akin ni Kong Jinky na babatukan kita, Paulo. So, una, walang ethics, tapos wala tayong sense of control, tapos yung polisiya nga natin is parang kulang sa pag-handle ng ganito. We were not ready with the power that was unleashed. So napakahalaga po, sir, na Mr. Chen, na sa susunod po na hearing natin, kasama po natin yung mga social media representatives po natin, yung mga platforms. Actually, siguro yung sa vloggers, parang explanation na lang nila yun kung saan nila kinukuha yung yung inspirasyon nila para mag-vlog o para po gawin yung mga ginagawa nila. Pero I'm more interested dun po sa representatives ng Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Kasi dito po yung ito po yung mga nagagamit nila. So, yun lang, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you so much. The last interpellator will be Chairman Ace Barbers, but we'll be giving a chance to Congressman Alonto.
Thank you. Thank you, joint chairs. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Wait.
We need to suspend for a few minutes lang.
Suspension? Why? Sige, 1 minute suspension.